Here we are at episode 4 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds, a new episode review for you. So let's not kick around waiting, let's just get into it. So welcome back to the channel, everyone. Welcome to my review for episode 4 of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. This review series I do bring you on a weekly basis, so be sure to hit the subscribe button, come join the channel so you don't miss out. And here we are, like I said, with episode 4, titled Among the Lotus Eaters. Now, this episode here, this finds the crew of the USS Enterprise at the start of the episode, alongside the USS Cayuga. And they're charting a star system together. But this gives the opportunity for Captain Pike and his love interest, Patel, to have a bit of time together, a little bit of, one-on-one, shall we say, that keeps getting interrupted by different things. And she has to leave abruptly. There's a little bit of a tension between them after she gives him a gift, and she finds out that she's not getting this promotion that she's after, that she's been looked over by for someone else. The ship then the Enterprise heads to Rylos VII, which is the homeworld of the Kalarians, and this is a planet that the Enterprise has visited before and has a bit of a backstory with, in that previously they had a landing party that went down, things went awry, 3 of the landing party were killed apparently, and they had to leave the planet, and the planet is now just viewed from outer space at previous times, but when viewing and with the photos that are taken, they see a Starfleet symbol, so they know that stuff may have been left behind, that there may be some cultural contamination, and the crew of the Enterprise, or some of them, have to go down to the planet to try and get rid of this, because obviously it goes against Directive 1 of the Federation's charter, not to help progressing planets to grow and this sort of a thing. So we have Captain Pike go down. He's going down with Dr. M'Benga, La'an, and Ortegas, obviously the Enterprise's pilot. But she gets turned around. Spock kind of puts the kibosh on her going down. He needs her on board the Enterprise for reasons of flying the Enterprise. So it's just down to the captain, the doctor, and La'an, Noonien and Singh to go down. But when they go down there, strange things starts happening to them. They have ringing in their ears, and they start forgetting things. They start having memory lapses, time losses, and all this sort of a thing, and it starts affecting those on board the Enterprise, and everyone starts to forget who they are, what they are, where they are, what they're doing, all this sort of a thing. It turns out that down on the planet, that one of the supposedly dead crew of the Enterprise from before, a yeoman named Zacharias, he didn't actually die, and he's now the sort of overlord. He's the high lord of this planet, of some of the race on this planet, and they live in this big building, this big temple that's made out of this ore that protects them from the effects of the memory loss, and the memory loss is coming from this asteroid that had hit the planet years and years ago, that's deviated its course, and there's stuff in the asteroid that causes this memory, them to forget. But the society down there is split into 2. You've got the overlord, and then you've got the workers, and this is where the episode gets quite interesting, because you've got you're introduced to these individuals that live down there, and one part of the society has become used to the fact that they forget, and they don't, you got this one individual, he's reflective of that part of the society, I guess, and they don't want to remember. They accept the fact that they forget things, that each day is a new day essentially to them, that their memories are forgotten, but they've got used to it, they've started to live with it, and this sort of thing, and that's a very interesting concept, that they don't want to remember. Obviously the captain, the doctor, and La'an, they completely forget who one another are and all this, but they have these little like, you know, these little tinges of memory, shall we say, that they remember little things, and Pike's wearing his little charm that was gifted to him at the beginning, and all this sort of a thing. So all in all, you know, it's quite a good episode. It was a good episode. It's a good functioning standalone episode that doesn't really touch on any larger narrative traits that the series might want to give us. It gives a lot of the cast a great deal of stuff to do, some fantastic stuff. Ortegas is kind of like, she's sort of set up to be the primary character of this episode, because she like bookends it with voiceovers and this sort of a thing, and that stuff didn't necessarily work for me. She has to go through this journey of having to pilot the Enterprise while she has suffering this memory loss, but the computer kind of helps her regain some semblance of her memories, and this sort of a thing. It's nice to see that obviously Pike, Anson Mount, is sort of front and centre of this episode, because thus far this season he seems to have been given the back seat for a lot of it, and I'm not really liking where that's going. The Doctor's Mbenga, he's grown into a good character, and I really enjoy him. I really enjoy when he gets something to do. We know that he's not just a Doctor, he's actually considered quite a decent warrior as well in that sense. He's a fighter. He can, you know, that's one of the reasons why he's brought down to the planet, because he has that ability about him. You know, so there's some great stuff, some great character moments in this. Nurse Chapel gets some little bits to do. She's always a nice to see on screen, so to speak. I like her character. So yeah, I enjoyed this episode. I think it was a lot of fun. And the effects looked great, and I did like the sort of forefront. It felt like Star Trek of an old, in a sense. I got this sense of the old sets of the original Kirk era Star Trek in certain scenes, but obviously done modern day. So you got the backdrop, which is obviously CG'd, and then you got rocks and stuff at the front and that, and it looks really good. But there's just something that harks back to that older Trek series, you know, the original Treks, with how they done it, but on a modern budget and a modern scale. It was nice to see. But yeah, so tell me your thoughts down below on this episode, whether you enjoyed it, whether you didn't enjoy it, whether this Series 2 is doing it for you. Do you think Series 2 is better than Series 1, or do you think that this series has come along and started to drop the ball somewhat? I'll be interested on your thoughts, because I've been hearing both sides of that argument. And that's always interesting to me, to dive into that, both the positive and the negative of it. So let me know down below your thoughts. And don't forget, hit the subscribe button and come back next week for a further discussion about Star Trek Strange New Worlds. See you then.